Hello Techies, welcome back to our channel UiPath by Sujitha. In this video, we are going to learn about build data table activity. So far we have learned about the data tables and data types and different ways, different activities or methods which are available in UiPath Studio in order to create data tables, right? This is one among them. Using build data table activity, we can create data table, we can build our customized data table. Customized in the sense, using this activity, we can configure the number of columns and the data types, and for each row we can configure something like whether to allow the null values or not. We can use the auto increment option and so on. We'll let you know in detail about each of these properties. Okay, so build data table activity we use to create our customized data table. Okay, customized in the sense number of columns, data types, and for each row we can mention allow null values. Fine. I hope you're taking a notes of this video, right? Unique values, auto increment if it is numbers. Okay, then default value, and then size if it is string, I mean length. Okay, so all these we can specify for each column. So build data table activity is used to create our customized data tables in UiPath Studio. Using this activity, there is benefit to create number of to configure the number of columns, to configure the column data types, and for each column we can configure allow null values or not. We can use this unique values. So all these checkboxes are available in for each column. Now let us see how to use this and let us see how to configure this. Okay, when I say, it will be in an imagination, right? So instead of that, let us move on to our UiPath Studio. Let us open this wizard and we can learn by doing some practice session. For that, I have created a separate sequence, say build data table underscore sequence, and I gave an annotation. So our agenda is to use this build data table activity in order to create a data table. So let us give a practice session saying take user details, first name, that means employee first name, last name, and age. Okay, only 3 values. So let us consider these 3 values and then take from the user. Okay, then update full name and then email ID and insurance eligibility of the user or the employee. Okay, and then save it to an Excel. Okay, so 3 steps. First, we are supposed to take the first name, last name and age of the employee. Then update full name, employee ID, insurance eligibility of the employee, and then save it back to Excel file. Now, the formula to create the full name is nothing but first name plus last name. Okay, so and then email ID, first name dot last name @company.com, and then insurance, if age is greater than 45, okay, then only they are eligible for insurance. 45 and less than 60, okay, so then only they are eligible for insurance. So these are the conditions. So now let us quickly start taking the details from the user using input dialog box. Input dialog. I hope you are practicing this along with me. So first, what is the first one? Employee first name. So I'm going to give hi, please provide employee first name. Okay, for that it is going to be in text box only, right? So now I'm going to pass this value, I mean save this value into a variable for future purpose. Now use Ctrl K and then give str underscore e first name, that is employee first name. Fine, enter, save it. Okay, let us quickly see whether it is working fine or not. Based on that we can move on. Okay, so let us just run this file. So hi, please provide employee first name. When I say Sujitha, done, right? So similarly, use one more dialog box for last name and one more dialog box for age. Okay, so age. Fine. Now let us rename all these activities. As I used to tell many times, renaming the activities increases the readability. It is a best practice, coding practice. Okay, so take last name and take age. Or you can go to properties and here you can change it. Okay, display name. Okay, so now let us use last name. Okay, last name. So this is also going to be a text box, right? Yes. Now let me create one more variable to save this. E last name. That means employee last name. Similarly, age also. But age, it is going to be an integer. While creating the variable, we are supposed to take integer. So this is going to be age employee age. Control K, int age, age. So quickly go to our variables and consider this as age. Change this variable type as age, and all the scope is set to the outer one. Okay, outer container for global usage. Fine. Now, once after considering this, what is our next step? Update full name, employee ID, insurance eligibility. Fine. Now we are supposed to calculate this employee ID. For that, I am creating one email ID. Okay, one variable where what is the rule? It is nothing but employee first name. Let me open this in a, yeah, this is visible, right? Okay, so employee first name dot employee last name. I'll let you know how to create this later. We'll change it accordingly. Okay, @company.com. Fine. Now, since this is a variable and dot is not as a part of this variable, I am keeping this in. Fine. Now this is going to be a variable, and this rest all things is needs to be placed in inverted quotes. Fine. So this way, first name is a variable, so it will give one value, dot last name @company.com. Fine. Yes. So this is going to be saved in our str email ID. Now what is the other one? Full name. For that, I'm going to create one more str full name. Control K. Either you can use Control K to create one new variable, or using variables panel we can create a new variable. Fine. How many ways we can create a variable? We have one video. If you have not watched that video, please do that so that you can understand and you'll come to know different ways to create a variable. Okay. So now what is the formula here? What we are supposed to do? Full name is nothing but str first name plus str last name. Fine. Yes. Next, age. There is age. Yes. We are supposed to calculate, validate whether the employee is eligible for a particular insurance or not. How to check that? If age is greater than 45, if the age is in between 50 or 45 and 60, then he or she is eligible for the particular insurance. For that, I am going to use an if condition to validate whether the age is in between 45 and 60. So what is our, yes, variable int underscore e age. It should be greater than or equals to 45 and int age is less than or equals to 60. Fine. This should be the condition. It should be always between this. Then let me create one variable, say eligibility, insurance eligibility. This will be yes. Okay. If not, no. So now we have all the values ready. What is the problem here? Okay, let me change the scope. You got this right? We are getting one error saying compiler error encountered processing expression. Thus, str underscore insurance eligibility is not declared, but we declared it right in this then block. What it says, it may be inaccessible due to its protection level. That means by default it has taken the scope within the sequence but not globally. So that is the reason when I go to this else block, I could not able to get that variable here. Notice this change, right? To make this particular variable available globally, let me change the scope of this variable. Now just save it, and when you go to else block, it is available. See, okay, this error gone, right? Okay. So now all our values are ready. So the only thing pending is we need to build a data table and we need to save it into a Excel file. Fine. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, what is our activity? Build data table. See, this is the one. It creates a data table according to a specified schema. The schema, what we have learned, we can specify the schema using all these properties. Fine. Now let us see how to do this. I'm going to add it here. Just select this and go to properties. It has nothing but an output data table. So I am going to use Ctrl K to create our data table. DT details, employee details. That's it. Quickly go to your variables panel and see the scope, whether it's been up to date. I mean to say the outer scope or not. Build data table sequence or not. Where is our DT? Let me refresh this. Oh yeah, this is here itself. DT details. Okay, right. Now, what is our agenda? We are supposed to specify a schema, right? For that, if you see here, data table creates a data table according to a specified schema. So let us specify the schema. Click on this data table. Just maximize this. Let me just maximize this. Okay. So if you could see here, some plus symbol is there. Add column. It says add column. So by default, it is showing some 2 columns with default names and default data types. Now if you want few more columns, you could use this plus symbol. Okay. So how many columns we need? We need to save first name, last name, full name, email ID, age, and eligibility, insurance eligibility, right? Now let us add one by one. What is the first one? It is employee first name. Employee first name. And it is going to be a string, right? Do you want to, I explained you all these properties, right? If you could see here, it is here. Allow null, whether this particular column should allow null values or not, we can use this checkbox. If it is an integer, then auto increment value, this property is enabled. See, available. Now it is grayed out because auto increment cannot be applicable on string values, right? Only if it is an integer, then it can be applicable. So let me complete this for the first name and default value. What should be the default value? If for example, for few columns, if you want to have a default value, you can mention it here. And if it is a unique value or not, whether to accept only unique values or not. That means if Sujitha is available in the list, maybe when I'm trying to update one more Sujitha as a value, it will throw an exception. It will not accept. Okay. And maximum length. Okay. So these are the different properties. Using these properties, we can create this schema, specify this schema, okay, of this particular data table. Now, I'm going to consider this column name and data type as string. I'm leaving this default value as it is, and it should be unique or not. No, it doesn't, because Sujitha may be many persons may have the same number, right, for this column, specific to this column. Okay, I'm just clicking on okay. Now let us edit this. When you want to edit a particular, let me just remove all this. Okay, when you want to edit a particular schema of a schema of the particular column, you could use this pencil icon, edit column. Okay, and you can delete using this cross symbol, this option. Fine. Edit, the same wizard will be opening again. Okay, now I'm quickly, let us create all other columns. Say employee last name, which is going to be a string value, and I'm leaving all this as it is. Next, one more, employee full name, employee age, it is going to be in 32, and employee email ID, then eligibility, insurance eligibility. Fine. For insurance eligibility, what I am doing, by default I am considering yes, default value. Okay, now first name, last name, full name, age, employee ID, insurance. So we have all our columns ready. Now just say okay. Please check the column types. String, 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 int 32, and string age, and fine. So what I did, so this is our, yeah, so if you could see insurance eligibility is this one, and there is nothing being updated for this data table so far. No rows been added. Okay, it is empty. Now if you want to add the values here, you can directly add it as a first row or second row, like that. Okay, say okay, my full name is going to be Sujitha K, and age is going to be 80, and employee ID is something called @company.com, and then insurance is by default, yes, it came, right? Fine. So this way we can either update directly from here, or we can use add data row. I'll show you how to do that. Now let us add this data into the data table. Okay, for that we can use add data row. We have something called add data column and add data row. Column will create one more new column into your data table, whereas add data row will create a new data row into the data table. Now I am going to use this. Okay, let us specify the data table name here. Okay, which we have created using this build data table activity. Okay, now our data table has only one row, which we have created as default, right? It has only one row. Fine. Now it is supposed to append with the other rows what we are going to give here. And there is something called array row and data row. Okay, let us see what these two. Array row is an array of objects to be added in the data table. The type of each object should map to the type of its corresponding column in the data table. You should keep this in mind, because whatever data you are going to add in the data table, it should match with the data type of each column, right? Because if there is the if suppose the age column is accepting only int 32, where you are going to give some Sujitha under age, it will not accept, because it is violating the rule. It is accepting only integer values, right? So make sure that whatever data you are passing using this data add data row activity, the data type should corresponding data type should match with the columns. Okay, now one more thing here, data row. This is an object, data row object to be added to the data table. If this property is set, then the array row property is ignored, because two ways we can add the values. One is passing the values of each column as an array, or altogether a data row if it is already available. I'll let you know what these two are. For now, we have values with us, say insurance eligibility, all these values, where we can pass it as an array. Now let us use this one. Okay, if you go to properties, you could see the same here. Use this array row. Okay, keep this in mind. Whatever values you are passing using this array row here should align with the column names. Okay, so say for example, in our build data table, if the first column says first name, the corresponding value to be passed. Okay, so let us start passing this. So first one is str first name, and then we passed str e last name. Okay, and then str full name. Let me validate whether we are following the right. Yeah, see, first name, last name, full name, and then age, employee ID, and insurance. Age, employee ID, and insurance. Now let us quickly add those as well. So full name is done. Next, age. It is not showing. Okay, let us see. Age, and then email ID, and then okay, this is age, and then email ID, and then insurance eligibility. Okay, fine. Now since age it is showing as error, I am just converting this. So this is in line with the column names. Fine. So all these values. Okay, so just save this. Now whatever we have validated here, the calculation, say for example the eligibility and email ID, full name, all these will be added to a data table which we have created using build data table activity. Now let us quickly run this. Before that, let us go to our agenda. What is our agenda? Save it to an Excel file. We are supposed to save this to an Excel file. So for that, use right range activity, right range workbook I am using, and let me have a file which I have already created, that is employee details. Okay, so let me give the sheet name as sheet 1, and what is our data table? It is dt underscore employee details. Fine. Yeah. And in properties, let us select add headers. Okay, so let us quickly run this and see how it works. Okay, run the file. will prompt for first name, last name and all, right? Where is this? Yeah, first name, say, let me say John, okay, and then last name, say Steve, fine, and then it is going to ask for age, okay. Now let us see, it has been executed. Now let us quickly open this employee details and see what is there. Yes, let us see this. Data has been stored, 80, 77, and insurance eligibility. There is some mistake in this. If you see here, it says yes and this is no. Why? By default, this row has been given by us while building the data table. Let us see what we have given there. Yes, we have given the default value as yes. Okay, so got it, right? So now, since that it is working only for one particular iteration, if I want to give some 10 employee data or 10 records, we are supposed to keep this in a loop. Let me do that. I'm going to have a do while loop, okay? Do while. For that, what I'm going to do, I'm adding all these, yeah, inside the do, a block, fine, and I'm keeping one condition in order to iterate. If block, if minimize this, yes, now I'm going to move this. We can do this at the beginning itself, but I just want to explain you the complete process in order to understand the concept very well. So now, if you see here, first name, last name, age, and some we are calculating, we are concatenating the first name and the last name in order to get full name as well as email ID also. Fine, we are having a condition based to validate whether the particular employee is eligible for insurance or not, okay. And then we are adding that particular whatever data we have validated, that to a data table, okay. At last, after completion of this loop, we are writing that complete data table to a Excel file. Now what should be the condition? What I am doing is I am going to take the input from the user itself, okay. What I am going to do, whether to continue or not, continue or not. Do you want to update one more employee record? Yes or no, okay. So multiple choice, my value should be, input type should be multiple choice. For that, yes or no, okay. So I have given yes or no in properties, and then result I am going to save into a yes or no, say st or continue. No, it should be boolean, right? It should be boolean, okay. So bool and then continue, okay. So whether it is true or false. For that we are supposed to pass true or false, right? Instead of that, I am going to use this str alone so that we can make the condition accordingly, okay. Let us use this. If I use boolean here, I am supposed to pass true or false here, right? Since that I have passed yes or no, I am using str continue, where I am keeping the conditions something like this. So my condition will be str underscore continue equals to dot equals to yes, right? For that, let me change this continue scope of this continue. Where is the scope? It is body, right? So let me change this to, yeah, outer. So now it will be accessible here also. Fine. Yes, now it is accessible. So it needs to be equals to yes. Equals yes. YES. So as long as the user selects yes out of this drop down, multiple choice, it will repeat the process. As soon as they say no, then it will write the entire data table to an Excel file. Fine. Let us test this quickly and let us see how it is working. Okay. Now you can understand the difference what we are doing using the loop. So first of all, it is asking me to enter first name. So I can give it as Joel. Next last name. Next age. Fine. So it has updated in the data table, and it is asking, do you want to update one more employee record? If I say yes, it will ask me for the first name, the record details again, right? Say Jesse, Joy, maybe some 55 years of age. Okay, so now again it is asking for the update, whether I want to enter one more record or no. Let me add one more record. And then age. Fine. Now it will save the record into a data table, and it is asking me whether I want to continue with updating one more record or not. I'll say no. Then it is supposed to quit and update all these records along with the one which I added as a default in data table using build data table activity into an Excel file. Okay. So now let us quickly go to our Excel file, just refresh it, and let us see what is there inside this. Fine, perfect, right? See, this is the first one which we added through build data table as a default row, and along with that I have given 3 records, right? So all these 3 records been added, updated here. Okay, fine. So this is going to be this one. Clear? Now it is clear, right? So this is how we can use the build data table activity in our day-to-day automation process when we are dealing with records, which is similar to columns and rows. So a quick recap, we have learned about the build data table activity along with how to configure the schema, how to specify the schema of this data table using this allow null values, unique values, auto increment, default value or length, all these options which are available in the build data table activities wizard. Okay, so also along with this we have other ways to create data table which we have covered using our videos. Okay, so day before yesterday or yesterday we have posted one video on generate data table using text activity. So similarly there are multiple activities and multiple methods to create data tables, say for example data wizard, data scraping wizard. So all these, if you have not yet familiar with those methods or activities, please watch our other videos on this concept. Thank you so much for the support so far towards this channel. If you are a new visitor to this channel, please subscribe the channel for more videos. Meet you through our next videos. Until then, keep learning and happy automating. Bye bye.